Hello, this is Gretchen from A Home Reimagined. Today I'm going to show you how to use ordinary but beautiful paper napkins, a glass plate from the dollar store, and Rethunk Gunk to make a beautiful charger plate for your tablescape this Christmas or this holiday. This is the finished product, and I'm going to take you step by step to how this was accomplished. We're going to be doing all the work on the back side of the plate. So this is nice and glass, and it can be wiped off, and just you treat it very carefully. You would not want to submerge this in water. That's why it's really nice for a decor piece. Well, let's get started. First thing you're going to do is take your glass plate and clean it. And we obviously need to get the sticker off. Thankfully, these aren't too difficult to do. Thank you. And I'm going to use my prep, and I'm just going to give it a good spray. And I would do top and bottom, but for now, I'm just going to do this. I want to make sure I get any debris, any fingerprints and things off of it, because like I said, you're going to be working on this side, and that would show through on that side. So, okay, so here we go. First thing I'm going to do is I want to add a little glitter to my snowy scene that's part of this napkin. So let's look at the napkin for a minute. The napkin has kind of this wintry, frosty kind of scene to it, right? I also have another one that I'm going to be working with, and it also, hey here Charlie, you also can see this beautiful snowy scene. These to me are the best type of napkins. If you can find something that's got kind of this white background or light background with a little bit of snow thing going on, that's going to give you the best look for this particular project. Now, to get started is I want to get some patches of little glitter, and just that's going to be kind of my first layer, and that's super easy to do and quick to do. We're going to take our gunk, we're going to take a little artist brush, and I'm just going to randomly, I don't want to do too much right up here because I have found that can kind of interfere with my main image that I'm going to be using. But I want it pretty random, and just want to get enough on here that I can get enough glitter to adhere. So the glitter I'm using, it's an extra fine glitter, and you can find it at most hobby stores. And let me get my charger plate because I'm going to use it to catch my glitter. Okay. And I'm just going to sprinkle, and make sure I get all the areas that I put the gunk. And that's gonna grab it, and it's gonna dry. The gunk dries clear, and it's gonna make it just a beautiful start layer for our design. Okay, so I would set this aside and let it dry. So, just like they do in the cooking shows where they put the thing in the oven and then they pull the thing out that's finished. That's what we're doing here. Okay, so that's done, that's finished, right? Okay, so now I need to do my design, my napkin. I need to do my layout. Now, napkins have multipliers, multiplies of tissue. So I'm taking a piece of Scotch tape, and I'm just attaching it to two ends, two corners I don't care about. And I'm peeling back. And you see that? There's actually two layers that are stuck here. And this is the top layer. This is what I always want to get down to. So no matter how many times you have to do it, just get to this beautiful sheer layer. Look how beautiful sheer that is. Isn't that pretty? All right, I'm going to remove my Scotch tape. I don't need that anymore. Now, I could just take the good old scissors, and cut it up. I could just decoupage this whole thing like that, but I don't think that's going to be very pretty, right? I like to get, when I'm gunking a project, I like to get them down into little sections and pieces. And let me show you this. Here's an example of a pumpkin I've done recently. This was actually done with another napkin, okay? And I just had to just get all these little elements out so that I could play with it. And it just really made for a pretty design, much prettier than just laying the whole thing over. So I'm going to show you how to wet cut. Wet cut gives you a softer edge than just scissors would be. And to do that, I have my little container of water, and I have this size artist brush. And I'm actually going to work on this side. I want to get rid of all this red border. I really don't want any red showing in my design. So I'm just using the water and the brush and just cutting across like that. When you do that, it allows you to just very easily take that edge off. I want to make sure there's no printing too. So just, you may have to sacrifice some of your image, but that's far better than having that printing on your plate. And I'm going to go ahead and do this all the way around, getting rid of my red border. I'm trying not to get into my design too much because, you know, I want to utilize as much as I can. So just another quick second here and this will be done. See how easy this is? And this is a project that, you know, any skill level can do, and you can certainly get, if you have any children who have any interest in creative projects, this would be perfect for them. All of our products are non-toxic. Not that you would want anybody eating them, but I'm just saying, you can get your little ones involved and not worry about any toxicity. Okay, now I have two birds, and I'm just going to pick whichever one which one do I want to use? I'm going to use this one. I kind of like, he's a little bigger, I think. So I'm just going to kind of cut in around him a little bit. And I'm trying to save some of the snowy image for another layer, or not necessarily layer, but another piece that I will be using separately from my main design. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'm just trying to get mostly the branches, and I'm not worried. I've got some water that's kind of creeped into my design. That's perfectly fine. It's going to be fine. Okay. And for the sake of just doing it a little faster now, I'm going to kind of pull some of this. I'm actually going to get rid of the green now, and I'm just going to use some of the background. I want some pieces like that so I can show you how I'm going to utilize this background. And I want to make sure that I get rid of all any other color other than this background color. Okay. I'm going to set this aside. So I would do that. I generally would have a stack that I would just have ready just to work on. Now, remember, we're doing this on the back of the plate. We're not doing this on the front of the plate. And, you know, when you do other projects where you're gunking or decoupaging, you typically do that on the surface, but we're not doing that. We're doing a reverse. So I will be putting my gunk here, and I will be working this design down here so that when you flip it over, it shows the beautiful design. Okay, so let me get my gunk, change out. Now I like to use just a flat artist kind of brush. I don't even know what number this is. I've used it for so long. I think I see a 3 there, but it's just a flat, good size for me. And all right, I'm going to kind of figure out where I want my little bird to go. I'm not going to lay the gunk down all over. I'm just going to start in one little area, because I think if you do, it can kind of get out of hand and get a little difficult to handle. So I just put a layer of gunk down on my plate, just a little bit. And now I'm coming back and I'm going on the top. There we go. So now that kind of has a foothold. I'm going to peel it back a little bit and apply a little bit more gunk over the whole area that this napkin, this image will be laying down over. And now I'm just going to carefully brush it on. Now, if you move kind of in this way and you don't use too much product, I typically really don't have that many wrinkles occur. Well, I had one happen right here, but guess what happens? As it dries, you'll see a lot of the wrinkles just disappear. And I'm really not that worried about it, to be honest with you. It's something that it's a creation of my own doing, and it's not from a factory. And yeah, it may have some imperfections, but hey, I'm imperfect too. So there you go. All right. See what I'm doing? I'm just working a little bit at a time. And you'll notice I'm not using a big piece to try to work with. If I tried to use a piece that's just laying all over here, it would get interesting, because I would have then contours and the flat paper would not want to lay down quite as well. So I like using smaller chunks, although this is the biggest chunk I will be doing on this project. But it just makes it easier to work with. And almost done getting this down. You actually find it's kind of therapeutic after a while. Okay, now I want to make sure I get all of my edges. All right, so my main image is down. And, see, I have a little tear here. I'm really not worried about that. I'm going to go ahead and pull that off. I am not worried about that, because I want, in this design that I'm doing, I actually want some gaps, because the gaps here is where I will be putting more glitter and I will get that really pretty snowy effect. Okay, so remember, we're doing this face down. So I want to make sure that I'm using my background properly. So I'm not butting this right up. My on camera, there we go. I'm not butting this right up to here. I'm just kind of coming off a little bit, and I'm going to start it right here. So that's going to give me a really nice little window between here and here that I will fill with the glitter. Okay. So you just repeat this process all the way across the plate, just a little bit at a time. And once you are finished placing all your pieces, I'm doing the gunk, getting it down. I want you to just set it aside and let it dry a little bit. Okay, so let's pretend all this is done. Next thing I would do would be to do another layer of the gunk over it. Okay, so let's say the whole plate has been done, layer of gunk, it's dry. I do another layer of gunk, or you could do it, you really don't have to wait for it to dry. I'm gonna take that back. You really don't have to wait for it to dry. I could once I've finished, got all my pieces on here, I'm all good. I could at that point go ahead and do my layer of gunk all over, okay? And then, while the gunk is still wet, this is the important thing, otherwise it's not gonna do you any good. While the gunk is still wet all over, you're going to hit it with your glitter. So I'm going to go ahead and do it here. I'm going to kind of sacrifice this and do it for you. But so let's say all this has been placed. I've done all my little pieces. I've gone back. I've got wet gunk all over it. All right, now I'm going to go around and everywhere I'm going to sprinkle this. Now, okay, so that would be all over. And it doesn't have to be uniform. You could do it, you know, more in one area, less than another. Like if I really didn't want to coat my bird, I wouldn't have to coat my bird because it is going to be a little opaque because it's got more pigment there. So that's not going to show through as much. But my sheer areas where, you know, this background is a little bit more sheer, that's where that pretty glitter is going to show through. So that is done. You're going to let that dry, okay? I would let that dry, dry, dry. Then, once you're satisfied, now you want to add some white behind it, because if you don't have white behind your image, it's not going to pop as well. All right, so you want the white. So the white is cloud. Cloud is just a great white from Rethunk Gunk, and you can do this one of two ways. You can either take your cloud, shake it up really well, take your cloud, take an artist brush, another flat kind of brush, and you can just kind of brush it on, okay? Just brush it all over. I want you to get the whole entire plate, okay? Every bit of it. Or you can, if you would prefer, take one of these, what do you call these? Little stipple brushes, and pounce it on there. And that's going to give you more of a, I guess, kind of a snowy kind of effect. I don't know. But it's up to you. It's up to you. No matter what you do, I want you to make sure that you get the cloud. I'm dealing with a dried brush now. Get the cloud all the way, all over every bit and all the way to the edge. Okay? Where I'm not going up over the edge, I'm going to the edge. That is going to give you the finished look you're looking for. And then once that has dried, okay, once that has dried, then I want you to take our sealant, which is our Tuff top. That's this guy. And I want you to seal the back. And that's going to give it another little layer of protection. Although we're really just not going to be putting this in the sink. We're not, you know, immersing this in water. It's really just more decorative and careful clean off. But that just gives you another layer of protection of the paint and the gunk and the glitter, that it doesn't come off. So that is basically it. I am going to finish several plates and do a nice tablescape to hopefully give you some more inspiration. But I appreciate your time today, and I hope that you'll give it a try. It's a lot of fun. Y'all take care. Hope to see you soon.